Welcome to Matcha Mart 101. If you're new here, hi, I'm Hillary. I started a matcha business in Toronto called Matcha Mart, selling all things matcha. So today I'm going to be answering one of the most asked questions, which is how do you make the perfect matcha latte? So here's a step-by-step tutorial. The first thing you want to do is actually soak your chasen in some hot water. So soaking your chasen helps soften the bristles and helps prevent it from breaking while you're whisking later on. Next, you're gonna grab your matcha powder and we're gonna sift in around 3 grams of matcha. So sifting your matcha is actually really important because it helps prevent any clumps from forming, and I find that it just creates a smoother matcha overall. So it should look something like this. Okay, so now we're gonna add in around 30 milliliters of hot water. And the temperature of your water is actually really important when it comes to matcha, because if your water is too hot, it might burn the matcha, but if your water is too cold, you might leave some flavors undeveloped. So I usually use around 75 degrees Celsius hot water. When you're whisking the matcha, I usually like to just start off by going in a circular motion like this, and this just helps incorporate the matcha powder with the water so the matcha powder doesn't go flying everywhere. Now we're gonna start whisking. So you're actually gonna wanna go in like an M-like motion like this and start vigorously whisking the matcha until you see those big air bubbles start to form at the top. I usually whisk my matcha for around 30 seconds to a minute until you get these big air bubbles that look something like this. Now I like to take it one step further and I actually take my chasen and move it towards the top layer of my matcha, and I go slowly in an M-like motion, and this helps break up those bigger bubbles on the surface, and I find that this just creates a smoother layer of microfoam on the top. You'll know you're done when your matcha looks something like this with a beautiful layer of microfoam on the top. Okay, now it's time to assemble. So I started by adding some ice into my cup. I like to personally add a lot of ice. And you're also gonna add in around 80 milliliters of your milk of choice. And then you're gonna add in around 3 milliliters of your sweetener of choice. So I usually like to just use simple syrup, which is just sugar dissolved with hot water. And now we're gonna top it off with our matcha. Wow, look at that color. And there's some residue on the bottom, so we're not gonna waste any matcha. So I usually like to just add a little bit of hot water just to get all of the matcha out. Perfect. Wow, look at how green that is. So in this series, I'll be going through everything you need to know about matcha, as well as some behind the scenes of my journey. So make sure to follow along for some more. Cheers.